Hey, good morning, Mizzou fans. Gabe DeArmond here, PM in the AM for Tuesday, September 23rd, leading up to Mizzou versus UMass on Saturday. Eli Drinkwitz, players available at Media Day later today, will be there. Schedule revealed tonight at 6 o'clock. Following that, Cody Goodwin and I will be back here talking about Missouri's 2026 slate. But the focus now is 2025. I was on a radio show on Monday and I was asked an interesting question. The theory on Mizzou coming in, I think a lot of the doubt was, do they have a quarterback? And so the radio host said, well, if that was the only question, when you look at the rest of the roster compared to last year, are there other places where you have question marks? And I really thought about it. Look, I think it has now been proven through 4 weeks what Eli Drinkwitz said. This is his best roster at Missouri. And I'm not going to go back to years and years before and tell you if this is the most talented Missouri team ever or anything. But I'm just looking at, this versus the last couple years. I think they're clearly better at quarterback. I think they're clearly better at running back. I think they're clearly better at tight end because Brett Norfleet is on the field. Wide receiver, if it's worse, it's not by much. It could be better. I don't know if that's proven yet, but we're talking about last year when Luther Burden didn't honestly have a very good year. Marquise Johnson is better. Josh Manning is better. I think Kevin Coleman is, proving to be better than Luther was last year. I'm not saying necessarily a better player, but better than he was last year. So, wide receiver, I'll probably go this year, but it's close. Offensive line is the place where I do have a question mark. You lose Armand Mimbo, you lose Cameron Johnson, you lose Marcus Bryant. I don't think the roster is better. I don't think the offensive line is better than it was last year. But when you balance it out with everywhere else on offense being better, I think the offense is better than it was last year. I think that's pretty obvious through 4 games. Defensive line's better. I don't think there's any question about it. Johnny Walker Jr. was a nice player. Damon Wilson's a better player. Zion Young's better than he was last year. Chris McClellan's better than he was last year. Linebacker's far better than it was last year. The secondary, I don't know that it was a big strength last year. The top 3 corners are back and they added one. So I guess the roster's better, even if they're not playing better. Safety, again, not a huge strength last year. I think that was the question mark on the defense last year was the secondary and its performance. So even though they haven't played very well, I think the roster is every bit as good as it was last year. So when you go through it, really the only place where I clearly would give an edge to last year's team is the offensive line. Everywhere and kicker, special teams, but I'm not really getting into that. I'm just talking offense, defense. I think this is clearly a superior roster to anything Eli Drinkwitz has had in 6 seasons. I think that's being shown by the way they play. But if you just look top to bottom at every position, I'm not even sure it's arguable, but I'd be interested in someone who did want to argue that with me and see what spots you think I'm wrong at. So just kind of a quick thing. Tuesday's always just kind of a random big picture thing till we get through and talk to the guys and get a little more into game preview, which we will not do heavily this week, to be quite honest with you, but we will do a little bit of it. So again, Cody and I will be back here tonight looking at about 6:40, depending on when they reveal the schedules. Last night we had State of the Tigers. We had Carter Carrolls from our Texas A&M site. Drew King jumped on, talked a little basketball. Cody and I did a lot of football, obviously. So check out all those things on the channel. You guys have been doing awesome participation, subscribing to the channel, all of those things. But like, comment, share what we're doing. Join us over at Power Mizzou, 30% off for your first year, $1 for your first month. So appreciate you hanging out here with me this morning. We'll have all kinds of stuff throughout the day, throughout the week. So we will talk to you later.